Look at these explosions, bro.
Ah, smell that burning sulfite. G'day folks, Ziggity here. These are the glorious sights and sounds of a mercenary grenadier in Path of Exile 2. Just one of the many playstyles possible on the very flexible mercenary class. Now just a note before we continue, this footage is from Act 1 and 2, filmed hands-on at the GGG studio when I travelled there to host the Q&A just last week. This isn't a build guide, it's way too early for that. Anyone giving you a build guide is kind of like yanking your chain a bit. I, like many of you, want us all to explore the beta and figure out builds together.
True.
Consider this instead just a primer, a showcase, just a taste of one playstyle of the Mercenary that might inspire one of your builds or help you decide what to start as. This video will contain some minor spoilers like minor boss fights and locations, but no story elements. Also keep in mind that while this is some of the most fresh Path of Exile 2 footage you'll see, until the beta is out, it's still subject to change. Also, I did want to note that there was a bug here that's likely already been fixed as I'm recording this, where the Mercenary doesn't turn when reloading or winding up an attack. It's kind of just a visual thing, it didn't really affect the gameplay, but it doesn't quite look right, and Jonathan specifically pointed it out to me. It was working fine in earlier builds, but something broke and they had to fix it after I left. And with that, I'm very excited to share some of my experiences with the Mercenary and Grenadier playstyle in Path of Exile 2.
The most fresh gameplay, bro, that isn't leaked. You know?
Most of the time in PoE 2, you will choose your own skills through the Uncut Gem system, but the first skill is pre-made for you on the beach, and for the Mercenary, that's fragmentation rounds. Effectively, a shotgun. This shoots many small projectiles in a spread that can indeed shotgun if you get closer. And the damage is substantially better if you do get up point blank, unless the target is huge, in which case you're probably going to hit them anyway. Fragmentation rounds has some fun interactions with frozen enemies that we'll talk about later, but it serves as a good intro to how the crossbow works.
I'm sorry, the physics of that knockback just don't make that much sense, bro. I've got to be honest here.
And fundamentally, this class plays very differently to any other. Crossbows are preloaded, but mostly fired nearly instantly. Every other weapon, whether it's a bow or a hammer, have some kind of wind up to them, right? But with crossbows, you're already loaded and ready to go, you just click the button. The downside is, of course, that you do need to reload, and each skill is effectively an ammo type that you can reload or swap to separately. Default attack is an ammo type, and so is fragmentation rounds. Pressing the load button will either reload that magazine or swap to it. A loaded magazine of a skill type, like fragmentation rounds, will persist even if you swap between multiple different ammo types as well. So you can preload everything and then swap between it quickly. This has a pretty few...
So they're going to have burst DPS, quite high burst DPS. So wait, I don't get that. So you got a reload button that will reload depending on what you have selected. Yo, I'm going to be real here and just say, like, yo, this UI is kind of not good. Because, like, wait, so you need to look down there. But I wouldn't mind having a, I don't know, something. It's fine. Well, I don't want to be looking down there. But then again, you're probably just going to memorize it, right? You're just going to have a vibe check. You're going to have a vibe check, bro.
Interesting effects.
Like, I don't know. You have a vibe check.
For example, you pay the mana cost when you reload, not when you fire. Again, very different to most skills. So you can spend mana reloading before you even begin combat, effectively investing your mana into preparing for the upcoming fight. And I put emphasis here on preparing, as that's really the Mercenary's main theme in a nutshell in my mind. Preparation. Mercenaries usually have an arsenal of weapons and tools that will be prepared and expended over the course of the fight as needed. A well-prepared mercenary will do well, while one that is unprepared might find themselves overwhelmed. You load ammo types by pressing the load button for each skill, but to fire your crossbow, it is all the same skill, the same button, the fire button. It takes a moment to kind of adapt your mindset over to this unique playstyle, but I found it very natural over time, and in some ways, simpler. If I wanted to shoot, it was always the same button. I just use other hotkeys to change what my shoot did. Other skills like grenades do get their own separate hotkeys and don't use this like ammo loading system, so you do get a bit of a mix of playstyles down the line, but the fundamental crossbow experience is ammo swapping and blasting. Whenever you fire the final round, the character will automatically reload unless you do something
Look how easy range combat looks, by the way. I mean, what's he even doing, bro? He's just walking around, not avoiding any attacks, just shooting.
The reload. Like, for example, a dodge roll. And I did find myself doing this a bit at first. Each skill has a different amount of shots before a reload.
You have one job is to roll, bro.
Style skills typically have just one shot and then they'll reload. They get that pump action kind of feeling, while the spammier skills can have many shots before they need to reload. Some crossbows and passive skills can give you additional shots to any reload skill though, so that's a really big deal in things like fragmentation rounds where gaining one additional shot means halving how often you reload.
I do wonder, wait, so the ammo is a part of the skill. So I've been kind of spacing out a little bit. Can they give you like some weird crossbow with some weird skill that has like 2 shots on it, but does a ton of damage, and then you get a reload? Is that a thing? Because I like those. I like those types of weapons. The ones where they do insane damage, but they get like 1 shot. Like it goes 1 shot and you got to reload, or like 2 shots and you got to reload. Big dicks.
Yeah, you get to make a double barrel shotgun instead. There's literally a support gem called double barrel. The first 20 minutes on Mercenary Crossbow is, as you probably suspected, a little bit awkward. The combination of adapting to such a different playstyle and having only a few skills with pretty frequent reloads means that you do have to be pretty careful to not get overwhelmed by enemies. You may also find yourself dodge rolling or swapping ammo types before you auto reload, leaving you with empty skill magazines when you kind of need them. Take things slow and steady at first, and try not to spam your skill hotkeys like you do with other classes. Crossbow mercenaries reward a bit more of a considered non-spammy approach.
Whoa.
Things get way smoother as you go, as you'll get fast.
5 days of watching the same footage. You're banned for illegal launch broken grass, man. Yeah. This video that's just been released from Ziggy D's journey to New Zealand, where he was able to play the game exclusively. Yeah, this is the same footage, that even though it's literally just been posted and it's brand new and it's entirely new from the latest build of the game. Literally, there's no one else who has released any footage from this version of the game. This is the most recent build of PoE 2 you're currently watching that nobody's ever seen before. But yeah, it's the same footage, guys. It's the same footage. Like, we're seeing a bunch of new abilities that we ain't. I ain't seen these abilities in action before. The gameplay looks clean. Again, it looks like. It looks way better than the first announced Mercenary, and it looks far more like a shooter.
So reloads, various support gems that can help in a bunch of different ways. You'll get more rounds in your magazines, and utility skills that will also change things dramatically. And also,
I want to see this shit in the in-game, though, because I don't see how this is going to be balanced. Do you not just see this shit? They just shoot, and it just one-shots the entire screen instantly? Isn't that what's going to happen when you have like a really good weapon and really optimized character? It's just going to be instantaneous one-shot of everything, and they're just going to reload while running. I mean, surely this is low level, but I mean, like just looking at this,
there is just that element of getting used to this playstyle. I was pretty nervous in those first couple zones in Act 1.
Think about what you can do in PoE.
I don't know if I'm going to like this, but I ended up loving it by the end. You get your first uncut gem in town where you can make your own choice of skill, and while explosive grenades is very tempting, I went with Permafrost Bolts, and I highly recommend it as your first skill.
Ooh.
I'm not telling you what to do, but
converts 80% of physical damage to cold damage, knocks back enemies, 80% more freeze buildup. Bolt shatter on impact, dealing damage in a 2.7 meter cone. Multiple bolts from one burst can hit the same target, combining their damage into a single hit. Oh, wow, so it counts as a single hit. So in terms of calculating ailments, wait, what? Wait, that's actually way more broken than what you'd think. It's not like lots of little shitty hits. It can combine to a single hit, which means that's really strong for doing ailments. 10 bolts per burst. Potent, bro, potent.
This is basically an ice shotgun with a huge multiplier to freeze buildup. And Mercenary doesn't, by default, have any mobility at all, except for moving while shooting, right? Especially in the early game. You can take things from other class, trees and stuff
just moving while shooting and attack from range and ability to roll.
Like that. Do like a weapon swap, leap slam or something. But in the early game, you just walk around with your crossbow, right? But what you can do is stop everything else from moving. Freeze is incredible in Path of Exile 2, in my opinion, thanks to the freeze build-up system. Everything will get frozen eventually. You don't have to do some mega hit of damage and bypass some sort of threshold to have a percentage chance to freeze or something. Each shot builds up more and more freeze from 0 to 100%, and then they're frozen. It's as simple as that. More cold damage and freeze effect just gets you there faster. Permafrost bolts are wicked satisfying, and you can run around with them just blasting away by themselves. They do a bit less damage than the...
the freeze does look potent, but what happens when you're ZDBS in freezing? Because every time you freeze the boss, it builds up some sort of diminishing returns, right? And then you eventually just immune. You can't just like chain freeze a guy.
Fragmentation rounds, but freezing and shattering everything well makes up for that, in my opinion. That said, when you do freeze something, you can actually swap to fragmentation rounds for their true purpose, to make explosions. Even before we get any grenades, we can begin exploding. Frag rounds detonate the ice on a frozen enemy, creating a pretty powerful explosion. It's great for blowing up packs of enemies, but this does remove the freeze and let them start moving again, assuming they survive. So I actually found it better to not always detonate the freeze on a single target like a boss. The main strategy I enjoyed was blasting primarily with Permafrost Bolt most of the time, and then whipping out the frag rounds to detonate when there was like a frozen enemy or two in a pack of other enemies.
Detonate the freeze.
Freezes last a long while, so a lot of the time you can freeze one enemy, then freeze another, and then detonate both of them. As soon as you get a choice of support gems...
So wait, freeze is kind of like an exploding palm. How do the detonations scale? Are they based off max life? How are those explosions? It's just a flat amount of damage? What the hell? Immune to listening? I must admit, when Ziggy D's talking, it's hard to concentrate because I'm looking at the gameplay.
Which is pretty early on. I recommend putting piercing on Permafrost. Being able to hit and freeze multiple monsters far more effectively makes this skill go from okay to amazing early game. After that, anything that interacts with freeze or adds cold damage is going to be great.
What is that chill
Add
ground
a cold
shit?
or ice bite, which adds cold damage to all of your other attacks when you freeze an enemy really good. But early on I used Frost Nexus, which creates chilling ground to slow enemies when you freeze someone for even more crowd control. Fragmentation rounds, I didn't often use too many supports on enemies. I just used it as a detonator skill. But it's probably best built for damage. I used double barrel just to get an extra shot to detonate more frozen enemies before I had to reload. It costs you some reload speed, but it's kind of an okay...
Dude, I love that they get, like, exploded and then knocked down, dude. That looks so sick.
Trade-off here. Something like bleed or just any added damage, some reload speed, an extra shot to detonate more frozen enemies before I had to reload. It costs you some reload.
Oh, that's so clean, bro. The fact they actually got knocked down physics with knocked back physics. Like, you know, in D4, when you smack a guy, there's none of that. But then you kill them, and then their corpse can ragdoll. But this is like actually got full-on knocking. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, he shot out a grenade before on one of these bosses. I don't want to go back. But, like, based on where the grenade exploded, he had to backpedal, like, 3 steps and then, like, get himself back balanced again to then start attacking. It was like, it just looks so fucking cool, bro. Like, whatever that system is. I don't know how that works. Is this a stun? Is this a knockback? Like, if you knock back someone over a certain threshold, they get, like, knocked down? Like, what is this mechanic that's happening here?
Speed, but it's kind of an okay trade-off here.
No mana usage. Yeah, he just said in the video, you don't use mana to shoot. You only use mana to reload. So he only uses mana when he reloads. Which is kind of nuts, right? Because it means you could just sit there, reload, like, 20 different abilities, and then they could all be super high mana usage. Doesn't matter. Like, you just spam your mana potion, and then they're all loaded up. Go in, clap a guy, right? Just clap a guy. Boom.
Yeah. Something like bleed or just any added damage would work fine as well. So you can get explosive grenades pretty...
Boring gameplay? I think it's pretty active gameplay. It's like... That's like saying any sort of top-down shooter game is boring gameplay. That seems like good gameplay. You know? Especially considering it's going to be far more fast-paced. You're going to get to the end game, and it's going to be monsters are going to be moving a lot faster. You're going to be moving a lot faster, and it's going to be higher stakes. They're going to do more damage to you. You're going to do more damage to them, so it's just going to be all-around fast, just faster pace.
Early on, and these do what you imagine. They explode. After a fairly long timer.
Explosive grenade, 80% to fire damage. Explosion rate is 1.9 meters. Fuse duration 2.5 seconds. Fires a battery grenade that unleashes a devastating blast when the fuse expires.
They do a nice explosion that deals physical and fire damage. My early experience with them was that they have a pretty long timer and do supplemental damage at best. This is something that Jonathan mentioned is possibly kind of changing.
Wait, what did he get 2 weeks for? Viewer Andy. What did he type? Viewer Andy's actually permaban, but unless he... Was he actually being a viewer Andy? Yeah, I don't know what's going on, dude. Can you guys stop getting people banned for, like...
A bit. Damage-wise, they might be going up. Early on, I found them only really useful for larger groups of enemies and for preloading some damage before you engage with a pack. You can kind of pop them out, and then run over and then shoot them with your shotgun, and then the grenades will start blowing up. As soon as you can grab multiple projectiles support though, which lets you shoot out 3 of them at a time for substantially better overall damage and area of effect, they do start to shine a bit more. Added fire is also good, but you can use the less duration support too to lower the timer and make them detonate faster with no downside. Explosive grenades get better later on when you get poison grenades to combo them with too as well.
I was going to say that 2.5 seconds seems insane, but then that's the baseline. So, and you can invest on the tree to reduce your duration, and then on top of that, you got the gem. But you're only going to have 1 reduced duration gem. So, I mean, this might be PoE 1 brain thinking, but yeah, 2.5 seconds is kind of insane, right? Kind of nuts.
We'll see more of that later. Now, far better early game, and when a grenader started to feel like a thing for me, was when I got the flash grenades. As soon as you can get these, do get them. They deal physical damage in a large area.
Wait, fires a magic grenade that unleashes a blinding, stunning explosion. So I'm thinking the knockdown thing is explosion, maybe? The explosion can blind allies and enemies. Blinds enemies, stun build-up. Oh no, it must just be stun. Combined with the knockback.
They have a short timer, a massive increase in stun effect.
Does anyone else... are you guys understanding what I'm saying? I'm confused. What is this thing where they're getting knocked back and then they're also on the ground? And they can't fight back. What is it? Is that just stun? Like what? Pin? I don't know. Because they definitely look... No, they're not fighting back or swinging or anything. Stagger. Maybe there's a stagger mechanic. I don't know what mechanic I'm looking at. In PoE, you're either stunned or they're not stunned. Right? There's no, like, knockdown or anything like that. They're either stunned or they're not stunned. They're doing something, but they're doing something different. They're not going like, oh, I'm stunned, right? They're going like, I'm knocked down, but I'm getting back up.
And they blind enemies.
Blind him!
With multiple projectiles support, they are incredible at stunning huge groups of enemies and even bosses in 1 or 2 throws. So you can get a lot of those heavy stuns on bosses to get some nice damage cycles off. They do only have 1 charge to begin with, but later on you can get an extra cooldown with the Grenader passive, which is just incredible. The skill has a small downside though. You blind yourself with them too. It's kind of funny.
I don't know that
with multiple projectiles and increases to area of effect, you will blind yourself all the time. I certainly did. Yeah. But I did actually just find it to be not too major of an issue.
You should be able to look away though, right? You should be a skill cap thing where you can like turn your character away. So you can do this, you know, turn away, boom.
It's like you do lose some evasion and accuracy didn't really seem to matter. I was still hitting things just fine. Certainly it's not ideal and you're trying to avoid it when you can, but I did find it a worthwhile trade-off.
This isn't CSGO. They're trying to go for more action-based combat, bro. What are you talking about? The change to WAST is like a change towards something like CSGO. I think it would absolutely make sense that if you're doing a blinding grenade, your character has to like look away when it does a blinding grenade. I mean, honestly, if you would really go, that's technically speaking that a knockback that's knocking back the enemies should maybe even knock back yourself. But that might just be annoying for a lot of builds, so probably not worth the gameplay trade-off. But yeah, blinding, I don't know. Yeah, it makes sense.
Strong the skill is. Flash grenades with multiple projectiles quickly became a main skill for me and were used off cooldown as much as possible. The stun, the damage, the area, the speediness of their detonation, all amazing. I did use some stun supports with it too, but because they're already pretty high stun effect, it's probably better to use things that increase damage or area or cooldown instead.
Flame wall, bro.
It's just the area of effect support, for example. Now, here I am teaching you how to blow things up in the Path of Exile 2 beta,
so weird.
I know many of you are already planning on blowing up your job, your career, your future livelihood, etc. as you sink deep into the loot grind, you know, missing call after call from co-workers, bosses, family members, and emergency services. As you try each of the 36 Ascendancy classes as they add them to the beta, testing every skill in the 7 different endgame content like pillars that they're adding, not to mention more of them later, over 100 different bosses. And then there's like off-classing hipster builds and weapon swapping builds, and emerging from this beta as a functioning human it's going to be tough. Once you get flashbang and explosive grenades going, you can almost fully go Grenader mode at that point.
I give you a not taking time off for this, chat. What are you doing with your life? That's what I'm going to ask yourself. Like, seriously, if you're not taking time off for this quote-unquote beta, aka the early access launch of the game, You need to fucking lock in. You need to take time off now. You've got 4 days, 23 hours, and 46 minutes to lock in the time off. If you've got to, call in sick. Dude, at the end of the day, that's a bit unethical. Yes, you are maybe going to tell a bit of a lie. But maybe even just poison yourself so that way you can be legitimately sick. Just eat some raw chicken and be like, hey, look, I got salmonella poisoning. Dude, look at this video of me shooting myself. Send a video of you shooting yourself. They're like, bro, stay home. Log in, dude, straight at the end of the day. Hey, I'm joking. Don't do that. That's a joke. That's a meme. Do not poison yourself.
Especially just kind of supplementing with permafrost and fragmentation rounds for some extra explosions in between. I did, however, end up experimenting with armor piercing and high velocity rounds. The armor piercing rounds is a machine gun fire skill that chips away at enemy armor. At first it's a very small amount, like 1 or 2 armor for the lowest level, but each level of the gem makes it destroy more and more armor per shot. This of course makes its damage ramp up itself, and enemies also will take more physical damage from any other hit. It's just going to be nice in parties for sure. When an enemy loses all of its armor, it becomes armor broken, and that's where high velocity rounds comes in. It's a big penetrating sniper shot that consumes the armor break on the enemy. It's a little strange, I know, but it does so to deal a large amount of extra.
You think it would giga break their armor? Like they'd be even more broken at that point. Why would it fix their armor? So you're actually fixing their armor? Yeah, it's kind of
damage. Don't ask me to explain how you can consume broken armor on an enemy, which somehow returns the armor to them. It doesn't really make sense, but just don't think too hard about that. The point is big damage go boom.
They want to make a combo mechanic, right? But yeah, maybe they could just call it something else. Interesting, bro. Interesting. So wait, maybe for Fizz builds, breaking armor is gonna be good. It's just like Fizz Pin, isn't it? Right? But then you can only reduce your armor to 0, so you can't take them into negatives. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder how many combo abilities we're going to have. Like, how many of the melee abilities do you think are going to work like that? Like, consuming broken armor. An armor break generator with a spender that's fucking, a combo finisher. Yeah, boom, boom, Fizz Bleed, boom. Well, the thing about bleed is... Oh, wait a minute. In PoE 1, armor doesn't affect bleeds, but in PoE 2, because bleed's been redesigned, perhaps, potentially. Wait a minute. It is... Wait. It also doesn't? Wait, I need to look at it. I need to look at the PoE 2. We haven't got the formula, do we? We just know that there were some changes made to bleed.
I found these skills pretty good for rare monsters and bosses, but not that useful for swarms, obviously. The faster attack support on armor piercing is obviously great for reaching armor break faster, and high velocity is all just about big physical damage, so anything that just scales up the damage is going to be great. While these skills are pretty good, they're probably for other playstyles. I think for the Grenadier playstyle, they didn't really make too much sense, as they were more focused on physical damage combinations. Lowering their armor doesn't really help.
What the fuck? How does it feel knowing you're almost certainly going to mess up that unique you make? That's literally impossible. So back in the day, players could make pretty much whatever unique they wanted, and they would just let players fuck it up. So in the current year of PoE, it has to go through like several filters, and one of those filters is Rishi, and he is like a unique designing god, and he would tell you, no, you know that unique's going to be like complete dog shit, right? And he wouldn't allow it to go through. Pretty much it gets filtered and it gets changed to be like something. So you really can't fuck it up. There is no possible way the unique that I designed is going to be bad. That's what I'm going to tell you. Okay, it's going to be sick.
Pretty much if you're doing a mixture of damage types, like you're probably typically going to be doing with most Grenadier setups. So 2/3 of the way through Act 1, a side boss can give you your first uncut spirit gem, and they drop every so often after that point too. There are a few good choices here, but I wanted...
Wait. While active, shooting an enemy with an attack hit. Whoa, what the hell? Herald of Ice attack hits only, bro? Wait, will cause an icy explosion that deals attack damage to surrounding enemies. Wait, what the hell? Attack hit only, bro. Spell cucks. Get fucking wrecked. Wait, that's got to be redesigned, right? That's got to be redesigned. There's no way it's going to be attack hits only. Surely it's gonna be shattering an enemy will cause them to explode or something. Like attack hit, because I mean, don't because isn't that most builds like every method build in the universe is like Herald of Ice with spells?
Explosions.
I mean,
so I went for Herald of Ice.
We'll have to see.
This reservation buff makes it so that whenever you shatter and kill a frozen enemy, they explode, dealing cold damage to enemies. This does nothing for most bosses, of course, but it's amazing for clearing groups and super fun, especially early game when you're using lots of that Permafrost Bolt. It can be supported with added cold damage for free too. It doesn't like
really
cost any extra spirit, and that just makes the explosions deal more damage. Great.
I'm already telling you now, Mathil doesn't like this, bro. This Herald of Ice MTX is not overkill enough. It needs to cover the whole screen with complete visual cancer. I'm not even able to detect the Herald of Ice explosions right now. All I can see is the chill ground support, where you like kill a shattered enemy, it makes chill ground.
Like accuracy?
It's just a very quick animation. Don't get me wrong, I like the clean animations, right? I like the subtle ones. Subtle but clear. And you know, if you know what you're looking for, you can see it.
Support, for example, can work to boost your global accuracy, like adding an effect to the aura. It's quite neat, but those sorts of supports do increase the spirit cost, so that'll require some investment or getting extra spirit to use. Long term, I could see having Herald of Ice on most of the time, and then having a defensive spirit skill like Arctic Armour, Grace, or Wind Dancer to swap on for bosses. An interesting utility skill that popped up around the end of Act 1 was Rapid Shot.
Wait, what do we got? We got no defensive? Wait, so are they just destroying the D-term Grace meta? Because we know like every aura we've seen so far doesn't even work on the player. So that all those auras just dead. He just said Grace. No, didn't he say Arctic Armor? And some other bullshit? Wait, look.
And then having a defensive spirit skill like Arctic Armor, Grace, or Wind Dancer.
He did say Grace. Yeah, true. This Australian accent, bro. This cheeky little Australian accent. Can't really understand his ass. Auras are only allies. Yeah, auras are supposed to be only allies, but he said Grace. He said Grace. Ziggy D's at GGG offices, bro. He's recording videos at GGG offices, and he said Grace, implying that Grace would work. What does he mean by that? He must have misspoke, right? He must have misspoke.
To swap on for bosses.
Dude, is Ziggy D colluding with Factual Life? That's a meme, by the way. Actually, I shouldn't even joke about that. Factual Life is terrible.
An interesting utility skill that popped up around the end of Act 1 was Rapid Shot. This channeled skill has a bit of a wind up to it, and then it rapid fires out a huge amount of bolts that also build up heat. Each stack of heat gives 10% extra fire damage to the skill. More importantly, however, heat also adds 6% of damage as added fire to any grenades.
Wait, let me read this. I can't read it, bro. Fuck me. Something at the top here. Maximum heat is 17. Rapid grip gets 10% of damage as fire damage per heat. 10% of damage as fire damage per heat. Charges for 800% of attack time before firing if used when you have no heat. Okay. Charges of 800% of attack time before firing if you have no heat. Okay, so what it's saying is the initial cast when you have no heat requires you to wait like as if you would fire 8 times. So like so you have to like start and then it's like and then it starts ramping. Is that what it's saying? Yeah, that's what it's saying, right? Assume you know this. But yeah, if you had heat, it would just be instant. Gain heat 4 times per second while firing. So you could have a heat build. Is the heat buff up here? Is that the heat buff?
So adds 6% of damage as added fire to any grenades.
6% by per stack. Gain heat 4 times. Gain heat 4 times per second while firing. Grenades gain 6% of damage as fire per heat. What? Seems kind of broken.
Fired. Heat does rapidly drop off when it's not in use, so you kind of get this unique combination of trying to fire a lot of this shots.
Yeah, you can see it. Look.
It's not in use,
so look, he
kind
presses.
of get this unique combination of trying.
He aims. He has to wait. So it is. He has to wait. Like when he goes, right? He's having to wait for 8, and then he can start shooting. Yeah.
Trying to fire a lot of these shots and build up the heat, and then very quickly put out as many grenades as you can with those power grenades and build up the heat, and then very quickly.
Bro, this is cool. This is cool. I just hope I hope there's multiple ways to use the heat. So I hope what it's not. So PoE is generally speaking really good at designing, and they normally don't shoehorn you into builds. But example of bad design in PoE was Plague Bearer and Poison. It wasn't like an optional combo; it was like basically forced combo. I hope there's multiple ways of expending this heat and in different ways, so we have choices. It's not like, oh, this only interacts with that other thing, therefore you always just use these two together, or you're forced to use it. I hope that we are able to, we're not shoehorned.
Put out as many grenades as you can with those empowered grenades.
So it empowers all grenades, and hopefully there's multiple heat abilities, right? So hopefully every grenade build doesn't have to just use that.
You really see the grenades like catch on fire from being empowered by the added fire damage. Pretty spicy combo, but the wind up and channeled nature of this does make it kind of difficult to pull off in dangerous boss fights. Boom. Except when you get a stun or freeze, which thankfully we're quite good at here. Ooh. So it certainly does work, and it's a good way to punish the bosses when you get those moments. Ooh. I used this for quite a while before dropping it in favor of the easier to use explosive shot combo I'll show you soon. But supports for rapid shot would likely be things like faster attacks and then anything to add damage or debuff the enemy. Gas grenade is where you start getting some more...
Okay, dude, what the fuck is this? Dude, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, man?
Grenade combos, and it's a pretty fun piece of the puzzle. As a baseline...
Okay, I'm gonna read this. Where are we at here? Fire a bouncing grenade that causes a burst of poison gas when fuse expires, damaging enemies living behind a growing poison cloud. Burning effects or detonator skills will cause the cloud to explode in a fiery blast. Dude, that's sick. I love the volumetric fog, the fact that there's physics interactions. I hope there's more interactions you can do. Like, you can shoot out, like, water, and then the water can be, like, electrified, and, you know, two things can combine to make some weird substance that turns into some sort of, like, you know, poisons. Like, all sorts of crazy shit, right? You put out, like, a cement... right, that's like liquid, but then you can heat it up, and then it turns hard, and it like roots them or something. You know, like stuff like that. They have like really cool, interesting, because you know they have this crazy engine now. Surely they can do cool stuff like that.
And it's a grenade with 3 charges that release.
Quin wants Baldur's Gate 3. Well, yeah. Well, no. Well, yes, but no. An action version. Yes, I'm talking about cool physics interactions where you can set up like chain reaction explosions and have cool interactions between different substances. There could be flammable things. There could be things that are retardants. There could be things that, you know, are conductive. You could do all sorts of weird combos. I know. I played what game did I play recently that was kind of like that? Noita. Yeah, Noita had all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Now, I wouldn't want there to be Noita tier, but, you know, cool interactions where there's physics and the boss, you know, a particular boss might be leaving a trail behind that is flammable, for example. And if you know about that, you can, like... ignite it when he's near it or something. You know what I'm saying, right? Things that are like mastery checks, and if you know, and then you can abuse that mechanic. That's cool.
There's a poison explosion, and then a lingering poison cloud that grows. I'm sure there will be some poison-based setups that focus on those parts of the skill, but I'm excited about its other application. That poison cloud is highly explosive. Any burning ground effect, or including enemies burning ground effects, by the way,
that's cool.
Or any of your skills or allies' skills tagged as a detonator, or that apply burning ground, can cause the gas cloud to explode, dealing a large chunk of damage.
Yo, do you want to spoil that, chat? I think that GGG are going to rework roll a bit. I think you're going to see them tweak the roll numbers to have way more push. I think we're going to see it be far more pushy. I'm calling it now. I've seen enough footage now where these motherfuckers are just jammed behind little mobs and they're spamming roll and the character's just like stuck on the same spot. I think they're going to be changing the code to make the characters more pushy. I don't think you should be able to roll through every mob. I don't think every roll should have phasing. But it looks like, you know, dude, we saw that one yesterday where he was trying to roll through some small chimpanzee things, and he couldn't even roll through those guys. I mean, dude.
Explosive grenades work well for this, and it gives you more explosions per explosion. What a deal. Another fun bit of tech here is the Bursting Plague support gem that I kind of stumbled on here. Linked to the gas grenade, this causes enemies poisoned to also build up plague.
Support skills that can poison enemies, causing poison enemies to gain plague over time and explode in a plague burst on death. Cannot support. Okay, I've read this one before, yeah. Deals physical damage equal to 100% of plague on triggering enemy. Has 100% more area effect at maximum plague. Skill is triggered when an enemy dies with plague on it. Ooh, okay, so I haven't actually seen what plague looks like.
Initially, I was like, okay, it's poison stuff, not relevant. And then I saw explosion. When the plagued enemies die, they explode. So good. And they explode for physical damage too, which is quite nice. So you can get explosions on your explosions alongside your explosions. Now we're talking. And speaking of explosions, some of those grenades do have kind of long fuses, and sometimes you want a bit more immediacy when it comes to your explosions, right? You don't have to wait. That's what explosive shot is for. It's a heavy-hitting fire crossbow bolt that explodes on impact. Its real beauty, though, is that it also detonates any grenades in its area of effect. You can throw poisoned and explosive grenades on top of each other and then pop a quick explosive shot before the enemies leave the area and detonate everything. It's a useful tool to give you a bit more immediacy when needed.
I mean, like dude, that...
and detonate everything.
Oh my god, these animations, bro, and the movement and the physics. Dude, this is in no game right now. This is not in no game. No game has this. Default does not even have this. Whatever this new mechanic is, the stagger knockdown shit, it's so cool. It's so cool. Wilson does not have that, bro. They have Default does not have. They have ragdolling after the monster dies. They don't have whatever the fuck this is, bro. It's so cool. No Rest for the Wicked does. Okay, I haven't actually played that game, so then there you go. Okay, it probably isn't another game, but I've never seen a game like this. Where, I mean, just look how...
to give you a quick explosive shot before the enemies leave the area and detonate everything.
That just looks so sick.
Pop a quick explosive shot.
Here it comes. 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 Here it is. Watch this. Grenade goes out. They walk forward. Boom. Oh, dude, that's so sick. That's so sick. To be fair, the animation could have slight variance. They could have slight variance in the animation, actually. When you slow it down, actually, it looks...
Tool to give you a bit more immediacy when needed, like against faster enemies that are charging you, and to kind of just reduce...
Yeah, the physics were off, actually. Slightly. They should actually all be slightly desynced, shouldn't they? But they all got hit in one frame. Yeah, whereas in reality, they wouldn't be hit in one frame. The guys closest to the explosion would have been hit first, and then the second, and then the third. Yeah.
Reliance on things like less duration support for grenade fuses. You can support it with any gems you want to make it faster to fire or reload, increase its area of effect, or give it more damage as a bit of a finisher skill if you want. But even unsupported, it's useful for popping grenades when needed.
Could be better, could be improved.
Handy little tool.
Still looks amazing, by the way.
So with explosive shot and a wide array of grenades at this point by the end of Act 2, I didn't really need...
I'm gonna be honest, this is the best mercenary footage I've seen, actually. This looks coolest to me. Like, the grenade guy, like, just that. Like,
the explosive shot and a wide array of...
Where he just...
A handy little tool in our tool belt.
I just love the way everything kind of just gets ripped apart and ragdolled around, and then there's the fucking gas. It just looks so fucking sick, bro.
So with explosive shot and a wide array of grenades at this...
I'm not a graphics Andy, but this does look amazing. I'm sorry, it just looks like visual eye candy, right? Not just in the, like, I want to be a mercenary. I'm just saying this looks fucking cool, bro.
Point by the end of Act 2, I didn't really need any of the regular crossbow skills anymore, and I became a fully fledged grenadier. I did still kind of use Permafrost Bolt on occasion. I just kind of love it. Once again, this isn't a build guide, but I'll show you what my build was looking like towards this end of Act 2 period. In the end, I ended up linking explosive grenades to added fire damage and area of effect. Combined with the poison grenades, they were a spammable damage dealer in between flashbangs. Explosive shot was linked to execute as a pseudo culling strike against melee dead enemies,
right now, Ziggy?
also
What's going
to pierce, which I found quite helpful as it helped it explode where I wanted it.
You sound like you're doing a guy right now, Ziggy.
To and not on enemies earlier. So
Ziggy didn't sign an NDA though, so all right, he's allowed to do this. He's allowed to make a guide style content. He was just like they just gave him access to the game and let him play because he was interviewing the lead game designer for that live stream. So he's allowed to do this. Okay, don't get it twisted. Don't be. He's not the same.
I could detonate grenades easier. Flash grenade was my MVP skill for sure, so he got the prized trophy of the multiple projectiles support. I was still using overpower for it at the end, which is fine, but in hindsight, there's probably more effective options.
That's what this 50% more stun build up.
Given that it's only 50% more stun build up on a skill that already has 400% more. I mean, that's still a 12.5% increase in...
But wait, Ziggy. Ziggy, every more should be a separate multiplier. That's how it works in PV1. So, yeah. Every more separately multiplies. Every more separately, they're not categorized in the same. If you have something that says 20% more fire and you have another thing that says 20% more fire, it does not add to 40. It goes 1.2 times 1.2, which you end up at 1.44. This is right. This is correct. Okay? So, yes, what I'm trying to tell you, Chad, every time it says more, it will be a separate category in terms of multiplier, and it will be a true more increase. They will not add to the same category. All right, they do not stack additively. It is always its own separate multiplier category. So then, if it says 50% more stun build up, then it will work separately as a 50% more stun build up. Even if somewhere else it says 20% more stun, they will not add together.
Stun, but I imagine something just like area, cooldown, or damage related might be better in the end. I guess I could still see Overpower making it into a setup with more support slots. I still had Rapid Shot with faster attacks and Ruthless, but I mostly stopped using it because I always had grenades to throw. Gas grenades were linked to Bursting Plague and Inspiration, as they're actually pretty mana hungry. And finally, Herald of Ice was linked to Added Cold and
Inspiration
Frozen
seems
Vortex.
Chill.
Although Vortex could only proc if I froze an enemy with another skill that then got shattered by Herald of Ice, so it wasn't super effective, just kind of like a free slot that I was testing. Later, I'd probably try and work in accuracy support once I...
That roll there, bro.
Just kind of like a free slot that I was...
These are small little spider boys, right?
Testing. Later, I'd probably try and work in...
There should be... that I feel like that should have more knock to it. Do you not think? He's a big, beefy boy. Maybe for the woman characters, they can't push as much, perhaps? I mean, they definitely need to buff. They definitely need to buff the warriors. Like, I'm just saying... think about it. No, it's just physics, chat. If you've got 2 times as much mass because you're playing a fucking big, beefy warrior guy with heavy armor... When you roll into someone, you're gonna push them more. All right, it's just physics. It's just physics. All right, I'm just saying. The bigger characters should have more push. There should even be a thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a stat. Like that'd be a cool stat to have actually. Increases your push. You know, you get like this. Juggernaut has unstoppable, infinite push. So it doesn't matter what you do. You just walk into anything, dude. It just moves them. Unstoppable force, bro. You cannot be pushed or something. Yeah.
Accuracy support once I've got some...
I mean, it would be glitchy as fuck because you could just walk into bosses and just push them around. But then that would probably be push immune, I'm guessing. So then it would be fine.
Fair, especially since I'm blinding myself.
I mean, that'd be a cool thing, actually, right? Am I crazy? Wait, that's kind of a cool Ascendancy node. I don't know why they don't design... Dude, they should design that. GGG. Listen up. Make bosses push immune, right? Boom. So you can't push them. I don't think they are. I think they are push immune regardless. But if they're not, they're just push immune. And then there's a fucking stat on like a Juggernaut that's called Unstoppable Force, and one of the lines on the node is like infinite push or cannot be pushed. However it is, the push unit, and your character basically what it means is you can just walk through and push anything out of the way. Anything that's not a boss gets pushed out of the way, so you just have complete freedom of movement whenever you're walking through a pack of monsters, right? Unless you get like whatever, just frozen or some other bullshit. That'll be a cool one, bro.
The time. For the passive tree, I tinkered back and forth a few times, and I definitely changed things a lot more as once I had more chance to
30% increased stun build against enemies in 2 minutes.
I traveled through Remorseless for a nice extra stun build up and damage. Grenades do count as projectiles, and I think they scale with projectile damage, but I'd need to double check that in game, which we'll have to wait until the beta. So take that with a grain of salt. I'd actually consider going through attribute nodes at the beginning of the tree too. I always kind of wanted more dexterity.
This is already the mechanics are already in the game. This push thing I'm talking about, by the way, it's a mechanic in the game in PoE 2. So every character has a certain amount of push, and you're allowed to walk through certain mobs. Well, move them. Like so, a little tiny mob will be moved a lot, so you can push the hitbox out the way a lot easily. And the bigger they get, the less you can push them to the point where they can't be pushed. That is a mechanic in PoE 2, which is what I'm saying. And what my prediction is that people are going to get really annoyed whenever they try and roll through some mobs that are tiny, and it looks like you can roll through there, but you can't. I feel like they're gonna immediately patch. I mean, I haven't even played a game yet. Just purely watching people's footage, it looks like it needs a little bit more push.
And strength for gems in gear.
You know.
And the health from strength is legit too. But I definitely still get volatile crystals because area and cooldown is just immense on grenades. You want as much of that as you can get. The Ricochet node is not a long-term node for Grenadiers. I probably should have dropped it by this point. but I needed to highlight it because I do recommend taking it on any crossbow merc, at least initially. The shotgun projectiles that you miss with will like hit a wall and bounce back to the enemies. It's very satisfying, it looks super cool, and it's super worth it. Honestly, if the numbers were any higher on this notable, it would be an Ascendancy node. I traveled through some knockback, which was okay, on the way to some serious grenade nodes.
What?
This grenade cluster gives a bunch of nice small
I love
nodes,
the physics stuff. The physics stuff is so cool. They need to have as much physics bullshit as possible. Maybe I'm a physics Andy, though.
Amazing notables. So it's probably a must take.
Like bouncing,
Cluster bombs
chaining,
gives you an extra
ragdolling.
grenade, straight up like a baby multiple projectiles.
Reactions.
The downside is increased duration, which makes the fuses longer. It's a downside for sure, but explosive shot can detonate them anyway, and you can scale it down in other ways. It's pretty tolerable, honestly. Well worth the trade.
Wait, what the hell? They didn't have this. There wasn't. Wow, I didn't see the 50% duration thing. Ooh.
Trade-off, I think.
Wait, what the hell's that? That was not there whenever I saw the. Whenever we watched the one. This is a new patch. They nerfed it. That's actually good though. Because it's funny. Because I was saying it looks stupid because it looks like you have to take it for every build, and now you don't have to take it for every build. So respect. They actually fixed that. They actually fixed the node here.
In my opinion,
much better game design.
The other node, Grenadier, is a no-brainer, and it's good enough to name a build after. An extra cooldown is pretty nice on things like explosive or gas grenades, but it's insanely good on single charge one like the flashbangs. Throwing 2 sets of 4 flashbangs when you've got multiple projectiles and that extra grenade projectile is often enough to just outright stun a boss or delete whatever monsters happen to have you surrounded. Preparation is the name of the game for Mercenary Grenadiers, and this lets you be twice as prepared with twice as many explosions.
I love the feedback.
The Adrenaline Rush node down here is some nice in-combat move speed, a big fan of that. And Volatile Grenades lowers the fuse time, and it's right on top of a dual slot.
Why does that look so like crazy? Why is that thing like glowing and shit, bro? It's like it looks like an ultra node, bro. It's not that good. Why is it got like some? It's like yeah, you spec into this, bro. The ultimate node, and it's just like super mid, bro.
Big fan of that. And Volatile Grenades lowers the fuse time, and it's right on top of a dual slot, which is very nice to get. On the left-hand side, I was headed towards Perfect Opportunity. This node looks very good. A lot of stun and lucky damage against enemies, which if you don't know how that works, it rolls your damage.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that. So dual sockets are like free basically now. So you don't have to spec it like point. It's just like a part of your pathing process. Is like depending on how far you path, you're just gonna get dual sockets. So it just means it allows you to really kind of hone in the customization in terms of what stats you want in your character, which is kind of nice. So just get free. I wonder if you're going to go out of your way to get them still, or it's just going to be like a purely passive thing. Like each build has like 10 sockets on average or something. I mean, it's interesting, yeah. Free dual sockets.
Twice and picks the higher number, so it averages you up.
What's annoying is though, because the way I build my characters is this: I start up the tree with no dual sockets, and I just get all the really strong just notables and shit. And then when I get to like level 95, then I start unspecking things and taking dual sockets because you have to craft the duals. Whereas now you're going to have all these sockets open and you're an idiot if you don't craft a dual. So you need to instantly start crafting duals. And the alterations don't exist now, so you're going to have to, like, I don't know, farm them out basically, right? Otherwise you're just wasting the sockets.
I think this is definitely something that we'd want to get if the flash grenades continue to overperform as they have been. There's a ton more stuff to explore here, obviously, that I didn't have time to look at.
Whoa, Ziggy.
Though I did spy the Authority node, which has some big AoE and cooldowns, so I'd likely end up heading there. At some points, we'll have to consider defenses more, but not worrying about life nodes on the passive tree was really nice and refreshing. Definitely enjoyed that. And I mean, explosions are a nice layer of defense anyway, right? For the Ascendancy choice, honestly, Gemling Legionnaire and Witch Hunter both seemed very valid as a Grenadier. Gemling just gives a ton of value across a lot of skill gems, which is kind of perfect for a cooldown grenade combo build, so if you want to use as many different grenades as possible, it's definitely worth considering. But the Witch Hunter is so freaking cool. The moment I saw it added another explosion to the build, I knew I was sold, right? Zealous Inquisition gives 10% chance to explode an enemy, dealing their full life as damage in a very large area. It's those big white X circles that you may have seen in my gameplay. It's very satisfying and effective. Whenever that triggers on an enemy, right, there's a good chance that it has similar friends around it, which means
wait, what
whenever
the
that
fuck? Dude, that's a huge
circles that you may have full life as damage in a very large area.
Wait, so look, it's this, bro.
This big white.
Oh my god. Those are fucking huge. Wait, so those are the on-kill explosions from that guy. Just having that built in by default. Wait, what the fuck is the value on that shit again? What the fuck is the value? I don't know. Oh, I'm gonna fuck. I'm just gonna go back. I don't care. 10% chance of dealing 100% of their maximum life as physical damage. Wait, this looks completely broken, bro. I mean, this is going to be like a... Well, okay, the way I would describe it, Cultist, for example, when you have it set up, it was like every ability gained like 2 links for clearing. It's basically like you had like a... It was almost like having the Occultist linked up like properly to have explosions. It turned every ability into like a 6-link clearing ability, basically, by default. And this is going to be similar to that with way less investment. It's going to be very similar to that with way less investment. I mean, it's not going to be as potent because you're not going to get as kind of a clear... Because, you know, it's going to be closer to like a shittier version of a Chieftain, I feel like, maybe. But still, Chieftain is fucking broken. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of nuts. No condition 2, yeah.
It's possible. Large area. Inquisition gives 10% chance to explode an enemy dealing their full life as damage in a very large area. It's those big white X circles that you may have seen in my gameplay. It's very satisfying and effective. Whenever that triggers on an enemy, right, there's a good chance that it has similar friends around it, which means that 100% of its life is often enough to kill the other ones around it. If I had to say what I'd get later on from this Ascendancy, I'd have...
Whoa! Ziggy, you missed it. This isn't a guide. Hey, this is what you take later as well, buddy. Nah.
Definitely have to test Sorcery Ward, which lets you turn evasion and armor into a shield to protect against elemental damage. Probably a pretty big deal. You can likely push it to some pretty high numbers too, from what I've seen. It's good to feel near immune to elemental damage.
You're doing a Mercenary starter guide right now.
Which might be my favorite node behind explosions.
This is the Mercenary starter guide.
Of course. We have some really nice crowd control between freeze, stun, and later electrocute on Grenadiers, and adding concentration breaks to that mix sounds amazing in boss fights. The node behind...
Wait, we go. Enemies have cooldown recovery rate, lower the concentration, scaling down to 50%, less cooldown recovery rate, concentration is 0. Because this is, I don't get it. It looked like it was going to proc twice per boss. Whenever I read it the first time. Is it reworded now? Enemies have maximum concentration equal to 40% of the maximum life. Break enemy concentration on hit equal to 100% of damage dealt. Enemies regain 10% concentration every second if they have not lost it in the past 5 seconds. Doesn't that just mean you break an enemy's concentration twice? And presuming you have full uptime? It's not proc to debuff. Am I crazy? No. You just keep it broken. But it says 5 seconds past they regain. Okay, so they cast half the abilities. So once you get a boss, the TLDR is if you keep hitting a boss with less than 5 seconds downtime, right? So you have to continuously like contiguous attacks, right? Just no down. So you can only have a fight. So as long as you keep hitting the monster within that window, and if you get him to 60% life, and you never had any downtime, like greater than 5 seconds, then they have 0 concentration, and that means they do half the abilities. So then, like, if it's going to do a Shaper Slam every 5 seconds, oh wait. They have less cooldown recovery rate. Wait, does that double it? That doubles it. So wait, that's 100%, right? Because if you have less cooldown recovery rate, that means you would go to 10 seconds. Right, so if he was going to do a Shaper Slam every 5 seconds, he's now going to do a Shaper Slam every 10 seconds. That's what it means. You need to do 2% of HP per second to keep it up. No, I think, well, it depends if it works in fractions, right? Because look, you break concentration on hit equal to 100% of the damage dealt. So that means, no. So no, you don't need to. Because if this monster has 1 million life, right? Right, or let's just go 100,000 life. If it has 100,000 life, that means he has 40,000 concentration, right? That means he has 40,000. Yeah. That means he has 40,000 concentration. So that means if you do, like, yeah, so if you do 10 damage, you subtract 10's concentration. So then, yeah, you get the idea? You do 10 damage. So then anyway, when he's got less cooldown recovery rate, so it doubles the cooldown of the ability. Correct? That's how it works. Yeah. So, yeah, If you keep hitting it, basically the TLDR is this. The TLDR is this. If you hit a boss for 40% of his life and you don't have okay, wait, maybe if you don't have greater than 5 seconds downtime, let's change it to greater than. So you the whole time you keep doing a bit of damage at least every 5 seconds. Then by the time they're at 60%, an ability that they may cast every 5 seconds, they will now cast that ability every 10 seconds. It'll double the cooldown for their ability. That's what it means. So wait, let's apply this to a boss. Oh my god, bro. This would be so good. Oh, but so bad. Do you know what I was thinking? Like, who's the most annoying cooldown boss? Who am I thinking, chat? Who is the boss that's the most annoying with its cooldowns? Who is the boss? Not Hillock. Oh, Maven actually be alright. But yeah, no, I'm thinking Cyrus, right? I'm thinking Cyrus. But he just goes immune, so then his concentration would just come back. And Maven does the same thing. So he goes immune, she goes immune, and it just come back. So then you would never break the concentration properly. You might buy yourself an extra few seconds. Think about it, though. You might buy yourself an extra few seconds of damaging in certain phases. Bro, I want to be honest. Looking at this, it looks like this is going to break so many boss fights, and you're going to have weird... I think this is going to find a bunch of bugs. This is my prediction. This fucking guy is going to break a bunch of bosses' AI, and they're going to overlap abilities that they're not supposed to overlap, right? And you're going to die to some cringe one-shot. And the time where you will want it is like a boss that has annoying phases, like immunity phases, and then they're going to go immune, and their concentration is going to come back. Now, let's say that we live in a world where GGG actually pre-think about this for every single boss, and there is no issues, and then it just literally gives you, like, double the uptime to do damage. Well, then this is broken. It's something like, you know, if your effective uptime doubles, if you're playing a boss, so you have to avoid half the mechanics, right? Think about it. Well, then it's close to double damage. So then that's nuts. Right, think about, like, Exarch. Think about Exarch, bro. Imagine if Exarch he just AFK'd, like, constantly.
Lets your damage lower enemy cooldowns, which can be amazing in boss fights. Nearly all of the scary boss moves are generally cooldown based. Culling Strike and Decimating Strike are nodes that let you kill things faster. Pretty hard to go wrong with that one. They're just flavored in a pretty fun way. And that last node, Choice Weapon Master, is 20 weapon passives, which lets you split your passive tree more between two different trees for weapon swapping. It's an unusual one, but grenades do seem like a potentially good candidate for weapon swapping. You might have one crossbow for crowd control effects to amplify those dramatically, and then another crossbow oriented around damage, for example. Or maybe even like a spellcaster weapon.
I like that Giga Ward. I would go Giga Ward, bro, for sure. I would do Giga Ward, map clear, and then reverse cull. Yeah. That's what I'd be doing. Yeah. And then I would unspec for boss fights. I'd remove the on-death explosion for boss fights and get the other bit. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Support spells. I don't know. It's really hard to say how.
But yeah, this does seem like a strong league launcher. It seems like it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you get that one node that says monsters have a 10% chance to explode for 100% of their life. The AoE is so big on it that it's guaranteed to be good at clearing. It's guaranteed. So then it doesn't matter what you do on this guy, you're going to be good at doing maps. And if you're good at doing maps, well, then you're good at farming currency. If you're good at farming currency, then you can get any build online. So that's, you may not be good at bosses or whatever, but who cares? If you can clear maps, then GG.
This will be until we know all of the skills at our disposal and see how that all feels. But
yeah, you need global AoE to make it better.
I'm definitely a fan of the Witch Hunter for the Grenadier. After all, it's got explosions, and just about every node seems to be worth taking. In terms
not getting baited, you literally can't get baited by that. That one ascendancy point, the 10% chance to explode enemies, makes the entire ascendancy. You could have nothing else, and it would still be one of the best clearing classes in the game.
I tried to get myself added cold damage wherever I could. Even just a little bit with the Permafrost rounds was very effective in the early game, and I definitely found myself prioritizing socketing added cold damage into my weapons. I do keep an eye on crossbow type implicits. In particular, some of them give some nice bonuses to allow you to shoot more shots before reloading and things like that, and later on some nice grenade things.
Blue items!
Move speed boots are huge on the Mercenary, so you definitely want to get yourself some of those. And I did find myself always in need of more dexterity and strength for gear and skill gem requirements. I don't know if this is just kind of like a nature of these hybrid classes, potentially.
Dude, what's up with Ziggy using blue items? Wait, what the hell? Is this ruthless? Is Pee-wee 2 ruthless? Like, is it ruthless?
If you find a really nice, like, pure evasion...
What the fuck is this? What the hell's going on?
Piece, it can be hard to wear it unless you've got a lot of extra dexterity. So getting some of those can be quite nice. And I found that with the inspiration support on gas grenades and maybe just like a little bit of
you know what?
stuff.
Ziggy D is like on the absolute threshold of being like too sweaty to be playing this game for too much early access. Like he's a smart guy. He's borderline. He's I don't know if he's a games journalist. I don't know if he's games journalist here, bro. You know. Yeah, I don't know if Ziggy D should be getting to play this much Pee-wee 2, actually. I'm starting to actually be worried here. What's Ziggy planning? How many guides is he going to make? That was a full video. Ziggy knows how to play games. Yeah, this is a bit sus, bro. Like, this guy isn't... Ziggy D is not Paul Tassi, is he? You know, hey, Paul Tassi, he's a cool guy, bro. Shout out to Paul Tassi, bro. I just meme on Paul Tassi. But no, he's not. Ziggy D, what I'm trying to say is Ziggy D's way better than Paul Tassi at these games. Which, I mean, it is what it is. Okay, increase armor, reduce light radius, increase strength, dex, and int. What is that item, bro? What is that item?
On gear, just kind of picked up incidentally on jewelry. I didn't really have any mana problems on this build. I barely had to use my mana flask, and I always...
What is the item? Bro, these things are heinous.
Had charges if I did need to. So it definitely seemed very manageable, but it might have also just been down to kind of incidentally getting a fair bit of extra mana on my gear, for example. The only unique I ended up finding was Black Sun Crest, which is an attribute scaling armor helmet. Gives a lot of armor, and a fair bit of attribute scaling potentially is nice, especially for boosting that life. Competed pretty well against the rare helmets that I'd found at the time. But I wasn't doing anything like super unique with attribute scaling at this point. The things in general to prioritize most are move speed on boots, damage on your crossbow, and gloves and rings if you can get it,
Ziggy,
and making sure that you have enough attributes.
Stop.
And of course, resistance.
Bro, not a guide, by the way. Stop. You are literally guiding me right now by telling me what I should be doing. What the fuck, bro?
In life, as always. Now, my gameplay strategy on this build at the end here was to
gameplay
open with a
strategy?
flashbang and then follow with gas grenades and explosive grenades.
Show us the explosions and the physics, man. Wait, don't give us... Oh my god, Ziggy. No, bro.
Right after. And then some explosive shots just to detonate things, followed by another flashbang if needed. This keeps the enemies in place, lays down a large area of death, and blows everything up, and then kind of like keeps them there a bit longer if needed to finish the job. But I will say, moment to moment, it felt pretty fluid. Once you kind of get familiar with your loadout and the different tools you have and which situations they work well.
Ziggy D's totally ethical, and he's not... to even say Extra D, bro, that's a meme. No, don't even associate Ziggy D with Extra. No. Extra life is fundamentally bad, bro. They're fundamentally bad. They're net negative to society, all around bad. They're like con artist. Okay, Ziggy D, basically best friends with Chris Wilson. He pretty much works at GGG. He's got access to the game, and he's like knows how to play the game, right? So he's ready to get a video. He's allowed to make this video. He can do this. All right, don't get it twisted. Completely different scenarios.
Yourself using things kind of tactically, like for example, preloading gas grenades on an essence monster before releasing them. Now, I didn't really have a chance to incorporate it into my build too much, but right before I logged out, I had like a spare minute to just do a sneaky little look at one more skill. Just for a second, I had to. Voltaic grenade does a lightning block. One more skill.
Oh, it's not voltaic, it's voltaic. Oh shit, voltaic, bro. New. Okay. Oh shit, sneaky shit here, bro. What the fuck going on?
Just for a second, I had to. Voltaic grenade does a lightning blast that builds electrocute on enemies, and electrocute is basically another hilarious form of stun.
Well, we're gonna find out what it does.
Being able to add this...
So it's stun, it's locked and confirmed. Ziggy's just confirmed it. Electrocute is stun.
...to our kit alongside flash grenades and potentially things like freeze is very exciting for this idea of like a crowd control grenadier. You could also use it to build up shock to amplify enemy damage taken, and you can use things like the innovate support to add lightning damage to the rest of your grenades. There's a lot of potential here for sure. I can see it working its way into the kit. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this early look at the Mercenary and Grenadier playstyle.
What are these monsters?
Maybe have figured out if it's a playstyle that you want to try, or I don't know, maybe it smoothed out your early game for you a bit. I'm very tempted to kick off beta with this build and see if there's like a lot of potential here for it to be a real banger beginner build, like I suspect.
Oh
Maybe
my god, bro, this is a banger beginning, what he's saying.
something that I could make a guide for. It'd be really good for
you just made a guide.
example to put up a beginner guide to a build that's just really fun for blowing up monsters for some of the new exiles joining us. But then again, maybe I should be playing one of the classes that's like polling is getting less attention, like the Sorceress. What if not enough people are covering them? I don't know, I'm definitely struggling with this deliberation. Let me know what you think.
I don't know what I
But
want to
that's
launch.
it for now. I'm Ziggy D, and thanks for watching.
I'm waiting for more info, bro. Good video, guys. Good video. That's a good, not a guide, guys.